And that was just on the paper.
And that was just on paper. And by
we've got African countries where 45% of the women have HIV.
And Ravenhold, and this was really pushed, not coincidentally, in my view, when the Ford administration, people don't remember this very often, that when you start talking about the Ford administration and Nixon and all that stuff, you forget that Ford's vice president was Nelson Rockefeller. And Rockefeller, Ford, and Kissinger were pushing all this world population control agenda, and it's the same group of people. Every time you investigate something in this, if you dig deep enough, if you peel enough layers of the onion away, you always find the same people at the center of it.
Well, listen, I've gone online and looked at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and their federal filings.
Absolutely.
It's all open eugenics groups, but when you see it on the news, it's, oh, they're helping black people. Isn't Bill Gates sweet? But then on Bill Moyers, he said get rid of the population.
Well, again, you look at what we've done in foreign countries. Let me just propose a hypothetical to you. Let's say that today in France or England or Germany or Australia or Canada, there was some sort of natural catastrophe, and these people need help. Would we help them? We absolutely would. But would our help be contingent upon their accepting the American ideals of birth control and abortion? Would we go into France and say, yeah, we recognize that you got people starving in the streets and you can't help them, and we're here with USAID, but we've got this food and medicine sitting on this ship out in the harbor. We will not unload it until you agree to legalize abortion, accept our versions of birth control and family planning and population control. If you do that, we'll unload the ships. If you don't, we're taking them back. We would never do that in a white country. But that has been our standard procedure for the last 50 years in Africa and in other black countries, even in this hemisphere.
But I'll tell you why, sir, and I'm sure you know this. The big secret is, and again, you've done a great job, your research is amazing, you've taught me a lot. This is a sliver just with the blacks, the group they're mainly focused on. They don't need to in the white countries because they're all run by the eugenicists, and they've all are pulling the stuff on black, white, it doesn't matter. And you're right. When they go into Africa or Latin America or Asia, they say, you've got to accept this company running your water supplies. Because we're gonna put additives in it because we care about you. You've got to accept giving your kids these vaccines because we want to take good care of them. We're going to kill them dead in a hammer, but just never mind what happens after we shoot them up. So that's the next level of the diabolical evil, is realizing is that if they're not giving them aid, the aid they're giving them is eugenics death as well. Go ahead.
It's cultural suicide. We're telling these people, unless you're willing to commit cultural suicide, we won't help you. And, a perfect example of this, and it's just one little tiny grain of sand on the beach, is Haiti. Haiti, as we all know, has been struck by a lot of disasters. It's a very poor country. Many of the things that have happened to it are just a result of where it's located on the globe. They've been hit by hurricanes and tsunamis and all kinds of natural disasters. We have gone into Haiti repeatedly and told them, we'll help, but you have to accept American birth control and population control measures. And if you don't do that, we won't help you. I have talked to people who are missionaries who've gone to Haiti to try to help these poor people. And they say, you can go into clinics there. And I had another guy tell me this exact same thing about countries in Africa. He said, you can go into clinics there. And in many of these places, a clinic is made up of a thatched walled building with no roof and dirt floors. All right? You can go in there. They have no medicines, no bandages, nothing to help deliver a healthy baby, none of that stuff. But you can look over in the corner and see piles and piles of birth control pills and condoms with American flags and USAID on the ends of them. In Haiti today, to give you an example of how profound this problem is, in Haiti today, it's estimated that 90% of the female population in Haiti has access to free birth control supplied by the United States government. But only 20% of the Haitian people have access to clean drinking water. Most of the 80% of the Haitian people get their water out of sewers and out of open pits and out of streams. And
it's all meant to kill them. Instead of going in educating them, stabilizing the population. The Royal Commission says we're going to let their populations explode as a way to devastate them economically so we can then come in and mop up later with eugenics. I mean, it is just hellish what they're doing. It
is obscene. I mean, it's an obscenity of the first order. And the sad thing about this is that so much of this is done under the guise of compassion that, as you mentioned a moment ago, basically the American people look the other way, and they don't understand what is actually going on in these places. There is no reason for some of these countries in Africa that have large reserves of natural resources for these countries to be poor year in and year out, for generation in and generation out, 100 years consistently being poor. There is no reason for that other than that outside forces are manipulating their economies and manipulating their populations.
Well, it's the economic hitmen that John Perkins talks about. We have the IMF and World Bank documents. They go in and destroy their economies by design. And I mean, look at Haiti. A bunch of sugarcane slaves, never allowed to have education. They're hit by hurricanes every year. There's constant CIA coups. And, people say, oh, they're just black. They're not even human. That's why they live in squalor. That is such a wicked cop-out. Meanwhile, the elites are basically putting out rat poison for them to kill their children. And a lot of racist people think, oh, good. This is all being done to whites as well, ladies and gentlemen. We're all under the soft kill eugenics system as well. Stay there, sir. This is very powerful info.
Are you? It's down and you're only getting mugged if you
just talking to Mark, and just amazing information at lifedynamics.com. Mark Crutcher. For many years, Mark Crutcher has been an outspoken and uncompromised opponent of abortion. In '86, he created the Life Activist Seminar and trained more than 15,000 pro-life activists all across the United States and Canada. Then in '92, he founded the Life Dynamics, which has since become widely recognized as one of the most innovative and professional pro-life organizations in America. Under Mark's direction, Life Dynamics has done trailblazing research in the abortion industry and developed an extensive litigation support system to help women sue the abortionists who kill, injure, or sexually assault them. Since '92, Life Dynamics has also carried out an aggressive direct mail campaign, and it just goes on from there. Be sure you go to lifedynamics.com. And listen, I've figured out how to approach mainline liberals who think, oh, it's a woman's body, keep the state out of their body. It has nothing to do with that. And when they find out it's about eugenics, and when they find out how evil it is, they wake up. And Mark has agreed to stay with us another 15, 20 minutes the next hour so we can talk about some other subjects, Planned Parenthood, the Nazis, the pedophile rings, all the key info that I've separately verified, not just from his research. So he's a big national leader, so this stuff's well documented, and he's been bringing that out, as he said, for years. But you were telling me during the break about Congress seeing this, members of Congress, and this even waking up people. And I asked, why didn't you put, and maybe you didn't want to get into this because then they'll try to spin it. I said, why didn't you put Obama increasing the abortion funding and eugenics funding in here? And you explained, I think, eloquently why. Do you want to get into that or just move on?
Well, no, but I'm happy to talk about the situation that happened in Congress last week. We had a congressman who had heard about the DVD, called him. We sent him a copy of it. He was just blown away by it, as a lot of people are when they see this information. And he wanted to show it and make it available to members of Congress and their staffs to come watch. So last Thursday, they had a showing for it, and it was extraordinarily well attended. The response that we got was amazing, and people were saying, "Look, there's other people that need to see this, and everybody didn't get to come." So they agreed to show it again the next day, on Friday. On Friday, we had representatives of 19 congressmen who are members of the CBC, or the Congressional Black Caucus, send representatives. Now, we knew, and people that were there in the little reception they had beforehand said it was clear from the attitude these people had that they were hostile, that they knew it had something to do with stopping abortion, and it was being sponsored by a guy who was a Republican and a pro-lifer. So they were coming there basically as infiltrators to gather information and even be disruptive, possibly. The anticipation was that they would eat the food during the reception. They'd stay for 10 or 15 minutes of the video and get up and leave. The reality was that at the end of the video, all 19 of them were still there. They clapped. 2 of the women were crying. one woman came up to Pastor Johnny Hunter, who's head of Learn, which is the largest African-American pro-life organization in America. One of these women came up to him and said, Pastor Hunter, I've got to tell you, I walked into this room with one view. And she said, I'm leaving with a totally different perspective. And she said, this thing has changed my life. And I'm going to go back and talk to my congressman.
Well, praise God, because that's the thing. This is so over the chart, off the chart. If we just expose these eugenicists and how the whole society's built by the robber barons, as you said, to carry this out, game over for them.
Absolutely.
And you know, these average liberals, black women, whatever, they're not bad people. They're programmed, like everybody else from birth, in this matrix-level fraud, and they find out what this is really all about in Margaret Sanger's own words, in Daddy Rockefeller's own words. Then they know the truth, and it sets them free. Back in 70 seconds with our guest. Stay with us. Get the DVD at Infowars.com.